Welcome back to the Shop Mini RC, everybody. I'm Ken, and today is another day, but today we're looking at something that's been highly anticipated in the 1/18th scale community. Anybody that's got an FCX24 or FCX18 has seen sneak peeks of this thing from FMS for a while in some of their ads. They usually show their other one that's not an FCX18, but everybody knows they can catch the portals, they can catch the chassis. They know that this is an FCX18 K10. Boom. So we're going to look at this guy, and we are super excited. The scale details are nuts on this thing. K10 Cheyenne. It's going to be cool, guys. Right. Before we dive into this thing, guys, if you could help me out, help the channel out, support us. If you do like the channel, make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell so you know when videos come. If you like the video, you can always share it into any groups or discords or chat discussions for people that might care about the new K10 from FMS. And also hit the like button. That helps us with the algorithms. We got to beat that YouTube algorithm up with the like button. If you don't like the video, you can really show us by clicking the dislike button twice. Click that dislike button 2 times to show us how much you don't like this video. All right, let's get into it, guys. First thing we got here is our manual sitting right there. Exploded views, how to binds, how to trims, all the good stuff here. There's a little introduction. It says thank you. What else we got? Sometimes they have little stories in here. Here you go, background about the K10, all kinds of good information on the K10 and the FCX18 platform. This is kind of fun though, reading about the K10. Anyway, all right, so manual, you can check that out. You can probably download the PDF online. Give a look for that. Let's go ahead and get into this. We got the yellow, it looks like. So it does come in 3 colors, bam. What else we got? What else we got? There's our wheelbase, a little longer than the other FCX18. We'll compare though. So make sure you stick around for the comparison. We'll show it next to the LC80. We'll show it next to the K5 Blazer. Probably a Power Wagon, maybe a Max Smasher. See how that goes. Lemur? Our Lemur's stretched though, so I don't know. Maybe even the Evo Pro. Oh, looky here, looky here. Dip switch remote, guys. I hope. Oh, it's a V5. If you know anything about the V5, here, I'll put the video right over here. These V5s have 4-wheel steer mixing built into the remote. So all you really need is this remote, and then it can bind to any receiver or receiver ESC combo that binds to it. And if you have a channel 3 on that receiver combo, you can do 4-wheel steer mixing right from the remote. So you basically get front wheel steer or rear wheel steer or mirrored steer, so the fronts turn one way and the rears turn the other, or crab walk, where they both turn the same way and you crab walk. You can go through all of those modes just with the click of a button. Pretty slick, so check out that video for sure. Let's get in here. Oh, shock tower's poking out. It's cool that the bed does drop open. We like that. Got some Tennessee plates on there. Looks like a little hitch in the bumper, so that's cool. Well, there's no hitch, but a spot for a hitch. I'm hoping it comes with one. We'll find out. Let's go ahead and peel this guy off here. Ooh, buddy. Sits a little higher than the other K10. Like I said earlier, there is a K10 that's been out for a while from FMS. Slightly different, though. Feels like there's oil-filled shocks. I'm not sure. Oh, yeah, they've got to be. We'll dive into that. Let's see what's in this box real quick. Oh, there's the hitch. It's there. We've got our USB charger. And while these USB chargers are nice, they work. I would recommend getting a hobby grade charger always. T-wrench, another T-wrench to add to our collection because we really need more T-wrenches. And a little bag of goodies here. Let's see what's in here. Looks like we got some license plates, some South Dakota, Missouri. Which one? Texas, South Dakota, Missouri, and Texas. Plus some Is this double-sided tape? Looks like some double-sided foam. What do we got here? What is this? Some little things here. So this is the trailer hitch. So that's cool. I don't know what this is. These are like little clips, which is probably what this tape is for. Maybe to keep the wires out of the way once we get into the body. I don't know. Let's get this stuff out of the way and we'll look at that truck. Oh, and if you want some custom license plates, they have some hard plastic, and I think they might even have some metal ones. I don't know if they have the little ones in metal, but I know they've got the big 10 scales in metal. But they've got some really cool custom plates, all the different designs, all the different states. RC Plate Shop, we'll put the video right over here. You can check that out as well. Now, once again, we did cheat. We already went out and drove it a little bit. You can see we got little scritches and scratches on here. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. Anyway, we're still going to go through this truck. We just want to get out there and drive it. We had to get a little bit of footage while we had some decent weather. We still got sand in our wheel. Drove pretty good. Definitely had a good time with it. We already got our slap on there. And we even put our trailer hitch on, but we lost the top clippy thing. So super sad on that. But trailer hitch is cool. And oh, here. Have you guys seen the FMS trailers? Here's one of them. There's 3 different versions. They come in 2 different colors, so technically 6 different versions. This thing is freaking sweet. It's got these little lock bars. You can pop them up. And then she folds right out. What? It's on leaf springs, so that's cool. And then also has safety chains. So you got your little safety chains, a little spring-loaded. We had to put little holes in our bumper for the safety chains, but clippy right on. Get your safety chains on there. Bam, just like so. Pretty freaking cool, guys. And these things are cheap. I think these trailers are under 30 bucks. I think they're like 25. We'll put a link down in the description. They should be on the FMS site. I think they're also on Pharisee. They might also be on Amazon. So definitely cool. I think this one's our favorite. There's, like I said, there's a couple different options. I think there's one that's just a trailer like this, but solid, the solid back. And then another one with no gate at all. I don't know. You'll have to look, guys. You'll have to look. We'll probably do a review on them at some point. We'll showing you this one now. We'll show you the other ones later. Anyway, to the meat and potatoes. This guy. So again, the tailgate does open, which is cool. Awesome little hinges in there. All the detail is very well done on this truck. Door handles. Mirrors, they're hard plastic. They do kind of bend a little bit, so they probably won't break off. We did roll a few times. The front grille looks good. The hood opens, obviously. That's where your battery is. These are crush lock wheels. Let me grab the original K10 and show you. Here's the original K10. Here's the remote for that guy. Definitely a little bit lower end. I like this remote. Much better. Feels better. Feels like a better quality plastic. The trigger and the steering wheel feels a little better. More options on the tuning. This one's not bad though. Definitely not bad. Just I prefer the other remote. One thing I noticed right away is this gate doesn't stay closed as tight as this one. So I don't know if they kind of redesigned the way the gate goes. No, it looks the same. Maybe we just opened and closed this one a lot. Yeah, it looks the exact same. Light buckets, everything looks the exact same. The only difference in the bed, obviously, is it's got the cutouts for the shock towers. Everything else is the same on the body. This truck has an interior though, whereas this one does not. Now you could probably take this interior and fit it in there. You might have to do some trimming to clear your transmission and whatnot, because this has got the 2-speed transmission in it. But yeah, they're the exact same body, just for anybody wondering. We do have different license plates though. here's underneath. This one also has sliders, or inner fenders essentially in the front, whereas this one does not. You're using all the FCX stuff here: FCX axles, FCX transmission, skid plate transmission. You got servo on axle versus this guy servo on chassis. You got a little bit bigger motor in this guy. Overall, this is just going to be a better performing truck, and there's a lot of upgrades for this thing already. Tons of aftermarket upgrades for the FCX24 and 18. The FCX24 upgrades, most of them will work on this because they're the same axles, same transmissions, all that same stuff. So all that stuff should flip over to this, shocks, all that. Your links are going to be different. Obviously, you've got super long links on this guy. When we get to the other trucks and start comparing, I'll show you we'll measure the links there for you, but definitely have long links here, right? Compared to here, we've got the shorter links just further back on this long chassis rail. So much shorter chassis rail. This is a much more performance-based setup. It's also wider because of the portal axles, the FCX portal axles. This truck's on flat, straight axles, so you get a little bit of difference there as well. This guy's going to ride a lot higher comparatively, right? A lot higher. Okay. I know Fair RC has some camper toppers coming, like some actual campers, not just bed toppers, but campers. So we're going to try to see if we can get one of those to show on these, because these are going to look really cool with that type of topper on there. I think I want to put that. I think they have two versions, so depending. But I like the topper on this guy, I think, because he's lower, more scale. Make this guy more of a scale rig. But the FCX18, even though it's a hard body, I think it's going to be a really good performer. Get some weight down low. It already performs really well out of the box just because it's an FCX18. But the link geometry is good. The shocks are good. We'll open those up and show you. I think these are the typical shocks that they use on everything. We'll show you the portals. Check, make sure they're still metal gears, the diffs, all that stuff. All right, guys, let's go ahead and get the body off. One of the things about this truck, actually, let's go ahead and compare to the other trucks first. Oh, you know what? I just noticed there is a steering wheel in there and a dash. So you still have your dash and steering wheel. I just noticed that. It's crazy. It's kind of dark in there, so you can't really see it. But now that I look, I can see it. I can see it. All right. So let's compare this to the previous FCX18, which is the LC80. Okay. So it's definitely a bigger truck. I would call this almost 1/16 or 1/17. This is a big truck for sure. I know they're calling it FCX18 because it's on the FCX18 platform, but the body itself, this truck is big. You can see the wheelbase length is a huge difference between it and the LC80. The width is going to be the same because they're on the same axles, right? So widths are the same. Actually, the LC80 looks a little wider just because of the offset of the wheels. But it's the same axle width. But yeah, huge difference in length. Okay, and just the body size in general. Definitely bigger than 1/18. All right, the next guy we'll compare to is the K5. Here's our way cool McHugh K5. Again, quite large in comparison. Okay. And again, same width, minus the offset, whatever offset wheels or tires we have. It's the original FCX24 Power Wagon. And just because I know people are going to ask, here's the Evo Pro just to compare. Okay. Evo Pro is going to be way wider though. So we got those extended axle shafts. Almost the same as far as the actual axle itself, but these have the plus axle shafts in there. So definitely makes the truck a lot wider. Okay. So this guy's still kind of more of a scale truck, but it's going to be a scale truck that you've got some good performance on. And when I say scale, I mean highly detailed hard body, right? Kind of like the LC80. But you definitely can make this guy perform. Cool rig to pull a trailer behind with other rigs on it for sure. And yeah, this is going to be a cool truck. I want to go ahead and get the body off now. The body is screwed on, so unfortunately, no quick releases there. But, I mean, generally, you're going to be accessing everything you need through the hood. Again, these bodies are from an older line, so it makes sense, but it would be nice if they had, like, a quick release, even if it was, like, on the front here, and it was hinged on the back or something, just a way to quickly get the bodies off. Because I hate having to unscrew stuff to get the body off, because we're always upgrading and working on stuff, so sometimes it's a real pain to try to work on things when the body is attached or we have to use screws. All right, so let's see here. It looks like we actually have some Phillips heads here. These look like they're maybe the only Phillips heads. No, we have these Phillips heads and these 3 Phillips heads. Everything else is a hex, minus the bumper body pieces. Like a lot of the body pieces are always going to be Phillips, but you know, maybe it just mounts with these. No, the rear's got to mount too. There's got to be, I think these Phillips heads are required to be removed to get this off. All right, we're gonna start taking this guy apart. Oh man, looks like there's even the side screws. Or no, that's for the bed. That's holding the bed in, so we don't need to take those off. All right, let me look at this. So it is a good number of screws to get this guy off. You have the 2 Phillips heads back here. I don't know why they chose to use Phillips heads here, but then hex heads everywhere else. Kind of odd. They also seem like they kind of over-engineered it. We've got these two in here, these 2 right here. So there's literally 6 screws. You probably could have gotten away with just this one and maybe this middle one. You don't need this here. And then the 4 screws in the front on the sides here. There's one here, and then same on this side, one there and one there. You could also pull off the bumper and then pull, there's 2 screws here, pull the bumper off, and then 2 screws underneath the bumper, pull those off. But those are Phillips heads as well. So we got 2 Phillips heads. The Rex are all hex head, 1.5 millimeters. We should be able to just lift this guy out now and slide it off this front bumper mount. There we go. Now we do have all of our lights plugged in, so keep that in mind. Unplug that guy, unplug this guy, then this rear light. There we go. So it's really not that bad. It's just a lot of screws. And I think realistically, if you were going to be moving, taking the body on and off a ton, you could probably get away with just the 2 in the back here and the 4 up in the front, or even just 2 in the front potentially. And then maybe the 2 in the middle, just to help kind of brace this long bed. But realistically, you don't need all the screws. There's a lot. There's probably 4 screws you could not use if you didn't want to. But there's the truck without the body on it. There's the body. Like I said, I was trying to see if there should be plenty of room for the interior if you want to get an interior. Again, you might have to trim a little bit, but it looks like there's plenty of room, even with this motor and trans. So pretty cool. All right, we'll set this aside. And here's our truck. Now, this is going to be a very cool platform if you want to build maybe a 6x6. You could run your axle, you know, second axle set here potentially, and do your 6x6. It'd be a shorter truck, or you could even try to run a 6x6 all the way to the back here, or just different bodies. I think this is going to be awesome for a lot of body options. I guess while we're at it, just to compare it to like a Defender from a TRX Defender, there's your wheelbase length difference. Okay, so big difference there. But overall cool to have the option to have a really long chassis for some different kinds of builds, you know, maybe doing just like a 5th wheel type truck with a 5th wheel trailer on it, dually, stuff like that could be fantastic. I do like that the battery is super forward mounted, so that's nice. ESC is nice and low. Everything is very forward biased, which is pretty freaking sweet. Right there, all up there. Definitely helps it perform. Now that we can see a little better, I'll go ahead and measure out the links just so you know the link lengths. They say these rears say 72.2, and these fronts here say 38.2. You can't see it, but I can see 38.2. I think that's just the length of the rod. That's not the length of the actual link from eye to eye, because they look much longer than that. So eye to eye on the rears are 96.5. The rear uppers look like they're going to be, it's hard to get in there, but right around 82.5, maybe 83.5. The front lowers are going to be right at 63, 62.5, 63. And then the upper here, it's going to be hard to measure that, but looks like we're right at like 58. 57.5, 57 to 58, somewhere in there for those upper fronts. Okay, the steering links are metal, which is nice. There's a servo saver, so that'll help your servo if you are bashing it kind of hard. Let's go ahead and get a wheel off and look inside the portals. Now these wheels look very similar to what came on the Lemur, if I remember right. There's no foams in there, but they are crush locks, so that's nice. You can pull these tires off, throw them on something else. They are 1.2s. Looks like they actually measure out to 1.3s all the way to the outside, but usually you're measuring to where the bead is, so 1.2s. And when you're pulling off your hex, be careful not to lose your little axle shaft pin here. That'd be bad times. And let's open up this portal housing. Should be metal gears. The only time they've ever done plastic portal gears that I can remember is just in like the very first FCX24 Power Wagon, the Butcher. They had plastic portal gears in there, and those got quickly replaced by metals. So the newer versions all have metals, even the Power Wagon. So these are more than likely metal. We'll just see if they're greased up, and we'll see if there's bearings or bushings. Pretty sure the box said bearings, 24 ball bearings throughout this rig, so I'm thinking they're all going to be ball bearings, which is going to be cool. There we go. They're greased up. Probably could use a little bit more grease, but seems fine. Just make sure when you're taking these guys out and putting them back together that your axle and your shaft pin there is fully seated, or else it's not going to go back together very well. Okay. Same on this little guy. Bearings and CVDs. One of the cool things about the FCX axles, they have a very good turn radius, just kind of from out of the box. You don't have to do much to them, or anything really, and they perform fantastic. There's one little mod you can do though, and I will show you that here in just a second. Anybody who has one of these trucks or has had one for a while usually knows about the mod, especially if you watched any of my videos on them. I talk about the mod quite often. Just a quick reminder on these guys as I put this back together. You're going plastic here, metal into plastic, so you don't need to over tighten. Just get it till it's snug and you're good to go. Don't use Loctite or anything like that into plastic. You will destroy the plastic. But because it's plastic, the plastic usually holds the screw in fairly well. They don't just back out like a metal screw going into a metal housing would. Those will tend to vibrate out, and you definitely want to Loctite them. But going into plastic, you're good to go. So here's the little mod that I wanted to show. You can see there's some screws right here. The screw right there holding the C-hub onto the axle. That screw usually is stopping your knuckle here from turning all the way. So we like to move these screws to the back side. So I'm going to pop these out real quick. It's a very simple mod, and it just gives you a little bit more clearance for your turn angle. It's the same whether it's in the front or the back. It's just going to hold the C-hub onto the axle. And then when you move them to the back here, you're not interfering with anything. You're not interfering with your shock or your link or anything like that. And especially not your knuckle, which will get you a better turn radius. Okay, go ahead and plug this in. I'm going to show you. So you may not be able to tell because we've got a tire off on this side, but if you watch the knuckle closely, right? So when we go this way, you can see we're going to be hitting right on that screw. But when we go this way, we've still got a little bit of clearance. So it's actually going just a little bit further. And I wonder if our dual rate's turned down. Let me look. Oh, just a little. Oh, there we go. And actually now it looks like our steering link is hitting on our diff cover, so that's preventing our max turn. You can see the servo saver kind of working a little there. But we're still getting more clearance than if this screw is there. And you can always go in and bend your link just a little bit more, or trim, or take your diff cover and kind of Dremel it down just a tiny bit if you really want to get that extra degree or two, but you're going to get pretty far with just removing the screw. Okay. Speaking of steering, the servo is pretty responsive. That is pretty good for a stock servo. So I am digging that for sure. All right, let's go ahead and pull a shock off here. There's our shock. I don't see any leaking, so that's nice. The spring rate seems good for this truck. Definitely oil filled. Let's just see if there's anything different in this shock from the previous shocks. These are actually aluminum. These are aluminum. So this shock housing is aluminum, which is awesome. Your link end here, or your shock end here, is plastic. The top cup is plastic. Oh man, that's tight. There we go. Just wanted to see if there's like a bladder in there, and there is. So that's nice. That helps prevent like cavitation and stuff. So it makes the shocks move a lot smoother. Totally filled with oil. So we don't want to lose any of that. That's good. And then we have our adjustment collar as well, which is aluminum. This little guy here. So overall, pretty good looking shocks. Let's take off this bottom cap real quick. Hopefully we don't lose too much oil doing this, but I just wanted to see if we were able to see our O-rings. Was it just a single O-ring in there? Looks like we may just be a single O-ring in there. Oh no, there's two. So that's good. Double O-rings. Yeah. The only thing that you could even remotely do better would be to put a little plastic bushing in there. But double O-rings is good. It means there's going to be less likely to leak. It's going to hopefully retain that oil really well. They feel really smooth though. Definitely dig these shocks. For stock shocks, pretty dang good. All right, let's put these guys back on. Another thing I want to point out is usually these cups, these link ends, have a side that's a little more chamfered. Make sure that's the side you're pushing onto the ball. It'll be a lot easier than doing the side that's not chamfered. So we'll do that. It's usually shinier, right? The shiny side goes onto the ball. Our drive shafts are already in phase, so that's nice. You want your drive shafts in phase, basically these ears, to be on the same side. That way when the U-joint is working, right, it's not going to bind. If they're opposites or off a little bit, it can create binding and vibration under high speed or extreme articulation. Not really a huge deal in these little guys, but it could matter, you know, so I just like to give that knowledge, and that way when you're doing your builds, you can just kind of check that off the list. Or when you're putting things back together, check it off the list that it's something that you know is right. I really like that this shock mount here is separate from the ESC tray and battery tray. It's actually like a separate piece. It's kind of hard to tell, but it's like these rears. So that way, if somebody wanted to make aftermarket shock mounts that, you know, were a little higher so that you could lower the truck a little bit if you wanted, or just move them and adjust them a little, they could do that without you having to completely remove your tray. So that's nice. Or if you do completely remove your tray because you're doing a totally new setup, you still have shock mounts to mount your shocks to. You don't have to worry about losing that when the tray goes away. So I definitely like that. Good setup there. I do kind of wish the front was a true 4-link instead of this Y-link, kind of like the rear, but not a big deal. At least the rear is 4-linked, so that's definitely good. You can see the rear links are held in with a nut, so a screw going through and then to a nut, whereas the front links are a screw going directly into the link. This is how all the other FCX18s and, well, not the 18, sorry, but the FCX24s are. Oh no, the LC80 is as well. So yeah, the FCX18s and 24s all use this plastic Y-link with a screw going into the link. So I think this is the first truck to have actual 4-link suspension rear, or 4-link suspension in it all. So that's cool that we're getting that for sure. And you can see how it's mounted there in the rear truss. Okay. Let's go ahead and take this rear diff cover off. So I'm going to show you, you can remove the portals, the whole portal housing, or the, you know, C-hubs, the knuckles, C-hubs, all that can come all off. These rears just come off with one screw. This is basically the same screw we moved in the front to get extra steering. But once you get that screw out, this entire thing comes right off with the axle shaft. Okay. We'll do this side as well, and then we'll open up the diff cover. See if we've got plastic or metal. My guess is we have plastic. The only truck that I know of from the FCX platform that has metal gears in the diff is the Max Smasher with an open diff. It's got the open diff, and it comes with the metal gears in it. It also comes with a set of the plastic gears if you wanted to lock it up and make it a crawler. But all the crawler trucks come with the plastic spool. So my guess is that's what's in here as well. Would be nice if they offered the metal spool. Or released another truck that had the open diffs. Because a lot of people like those open diffs for different monster truck builds and go fast builds. Because an open diff is going to be much better for speed and handling. Your turning is going to be better. If you start to lift off the ground as you're turning, you know, you start to tip, your the power will let out the side that's lifted off the ground, so your power will reduce on the traction tires, and it'll slow you down, so prevent you from rolling over. And there we have it. It is the plastic spool. Now, these don't really, I haven't really had a huge issue with these stripping or anything, so I guess the plastic's fine. Some people have, obviously. They're very greased up, though, so that's good. But I have not, I don't think I have a single truck. I've got a lot of FCX platform trucks, and I think I have never stripped one of the plastic ones. And we don't go crazy with it, but I have not done that. So they're pretty durable. But again, that's not to say if you don't run it a ton or run it really hard that you're not going to strip out at some point. But good thing is they're very cheap if you need to replace them. They're very easy to replace, and they do make metal options. There's some aftermarket options that are straight up metal. There's also obviously the open diff that FMS offers, but you would have to lock that up. You can lock it up with, like, you just basically glue it, and you glue all of the planetary gears in there, and it just becomes a solid spool essentially. But yeah, we've never had issues with these plastic gears. That's probably why they haven't changed them to metal. It's because they don't get a lot of reports of people having issues. But it's always nice to have metal when you're going super hard, though. But there are options out there if you want to upgrade, so that's good. So one thing kind of fun about these axle designs is that these are clockable portals, right? The portal housing is clockable. It would be nice if it were more of a splined tooth versus a hex, because you've only got so many positions on a hex. But if you remove this little tab here, you can see there's like a little tab. The original ones didn't have this tab, but the newer ones do. If you cut that little tab out, you're able to rotate your portal housing like that. So if you wanted to lower the truck or extend the wheelbase, and we've done this on a couple custom rigs, but where we need just a little bit more, and so we'd turn it and it would drop it a little bit lower and give us a little bit longer wheelbase, or you could even tuck it in this way, right? So pretty cool that you can adjust that if you really wanted to, at least on the rear. You can even flip the portals, which we have done on a monster truck build, just to drop that thing as low as possible. Since the tires on there are so big, we've got such big tires, we don't really need a lot of ground clearance. Plus, it's a monster truck. It's not needing to crawl rocks. It's needing to go fast and make jumps. So getting that low center of gravity really kind of helps. So that's something cool that you can do with these kind of axles. So I really love the axle design where the outer portals and the C-hubs come off so that you can always switch that. Also, I really, really want FMS to make straight axles using these exact axle housings. I think that'd be really cool. It could help narrow up a truck. So especially for the smaller trucks like the K5 or the Power Wagon, some people want a more scale truck, so they want narrower wheelbases. And you could use the same axle housing and just put straight axles straight on it with like an end cap, and then C-hubs that are shorter, less tall, with knuckles that the CVD comes straight through, and no portals. And you could use the same open diffs, lock diffs, all the aftermarket options that you have. People make overdrive or underdrive for the diff. You'd be able to use all those options. So just more support for the axles. But yeah, it'd be really cool to have them release FCX24. That's actually a 24 scale, using straight axles that are more narrow. That'd be super sweet. I'd love to see that. So FMS, if you're listening, do a truck like that. You know it's possible. Maybe somebody in the aftermarket will come out with some straight axles for the FCX platform. I would love to see that as well. So when you're putting these guys back on, you just kind of rotate them until they key in. Sometimes it's hard because you don't know if you're keying into the diff or keying into the portal housing here. So we just kind of turn it while we put pressure on. Maybe? What's going on here? There we go. Nice. So just one thing I wanted to point out too, when you're putting your screws back in, so you take your portal covers off and you're putting your screws back together, or your diff cover and you're putting it back in, always check for binding, guys, as you go, right? So you kind of want to check it before you get the whole truck back together. And we did it. We just didn't show it on camera and I forgot to mention it. But when we put this back in and we tightened our portal down, we just checked to make sure we were still nice and free. We're in neutral right now, so it's easy to spin. But you definitely want to check that stuff for each part, because if you go through and say you took the whole rear end apart and you put it all back together and then you've got binding, you don't know if it's in your portal covers, you don't know if it's in your diff, you don't know if it's in when you put your wheel back on. It could be a gear, it could be you over tightened something. There's a lot of different things that could happen, but if you kind of check along the way, you'll definitely be able to identify problems before they become bigger problems, and then you have to take everything back apart trying to find where the issue was. Usually it's over tightening or like a pin, one of the axle pins not fully seated. But yeah, just whenever you're doing a build or upgrades, always test along the way, because even aftermarket parts, right? Like say you went through and you put on aluminum axles and then some overdrive or underdrive gears and brass portal covers that came from a different company, and you've got all these different things you're putting in and you're building it, and you build the whole axle and then the whole thing it doesn't even move, right? Like you don't know which part caused that. So you got to go back through and take everything apart. Again, as you build it, if you test each piece and make sure each piece works like it's supposed to, the headaches will be much, much rarer. All right, we're all back together. Man, I think this chassis is going to be awesome for people that want to build like longer based trucks. This is going to be so sick. Even smaller bodies, like a smaller scale, but a longer truck, like a flatbed, and some really cool stuff you can do with this thing. This is an exciting release, I think. All right, we're all back together. I want to show you the 2-speed. We're not going to open up the transmission, so I just figured I'd show you the little 2-speed in there. You can kind of see it better with the body off. So we're in neutral right now. Just kind of fun. You can like rev at your buddies. And then shift. It's got a little shifter in there. It's right here on the remote. So here's first gear. And then you can shift into second gear. Now, you heard it squeak a little bit there. I'd recommend not shifting like that while you're going. You should probably stop before you do it, but you know, occasionally you want to neutral drop it or something. Just be aware you can cause some issues in the gears or even the pinion on the motor. Just be aware of that. Look at this. So this is a good opportunity to talk about this. If you see something weird happening in your truck, see how it's just kind of twitching? I'm not even touching it. It was just kind of tripping out and twitching. See that? Yep. That's not the truck. That's your transmitter. If you notice our little G LED is blinking here, it means our battery is low, I believe. So we probably need to change our batteries over. That's what's causing that. Because as soon as we turn it off, it stops twitching. So if you ever have weird stuff happening with your truck, that's probably it. You probably have batteries that are dying in your transmitter. Now we got new ones in there. Boom. We're not blinking. We're not twitching. Awesome. So keep that in mind. Something weird's happening. Make sure your battery in your truck is fully charged. Make sure your batteries in your transmitter are fully charged. If your battery in your truck goes low, usually what happens is you have steering, but no throttle, right? So just be aware of that. Here's some slow crawl for you. These things have insane slow crawl because they're a 2-speed, right? I mean, that's pretty dang slow. And then if you want to rip it, you can. You have forward brake reverse switch right here on the remote. We actually have a full deep dive on this transmitter, and I'll put it right over here, and it talks about the rear steer and all that kind of stuff. But just the basics here. You can reverse your steering with this switch here. Okay. So something weird's going on there, and your steering is backwards. You can flip it there. Also throttle reverse. So now we'll go backwards. Oops, need to be in gear for that. And forwards. So not ideal there, obviously. This first switch is your forward brake reverse or your forward reverse. So if you want to go trailing and you're going fast and you want to go forward brake reverse, forward brake reverse, right? Forward brake and then let go and reverse. That's usually for trailing or going fast. And then a simple switch here, boop, on that first dip switch, forward reverse. And that's your crawl mode. Okay, pretty cool. The second switch is your LiPo. It's whether you're running LiPo or nickel metal. We just keep it on LiPo always. That's probably going to be deprecated soon. Hopefully they can start using that switch, and especially on other ESCs and stuff where you got to choose LiPo or nickel metal. Hopefully they'll get rid of that feature. I mean, maybe they don't need to get rid of it. It's always good to have options, but nobody ever runs nickel metal on these, so yeah, it just doesn't make sense. We've got our drag brake here is 3 and 4, and that gives you 4 different settings for drag brake, and we will put that chart up over here showing the different drag brake settings. Pretty simple. Our bind button, very easy to bind this thing. If you ever have an issue and you feel like you need to rebind, all you have to do is hold the bind button down, turn it on, you'll be blinking, turn your truck on, and you'll bind. Okay. Now, if it doesn't seem like it bound and it's not doing anything, just turn it off and turn it back on, and it should connect. I've only seen that happen with certain receivers and certain versions of the transmitter, but generally speaking, you don't have to do that. Worst case, turn it off, turn it back on. If after you turn it off, turn it back on, you're still not bound, try again. Again, turn everything off, hold the bind button, turn on the remote, let go of the bind button, power on your truck, you should be good. Then we have our steering trim and our steering dual rate, steering trim, throttle dual rate, throttle trim. Dual rate is how far something will go, how far the servo will go. So if you look, we turn our steering all the way, you can turn your dual rate down and it'll make your max steering less. See that? So we've just got the tiniest bit of steering now. We usually want to max out our steering, but you kind of want to set that to where it's not putting stress on your servo. So if you notice when you turn all the way, your servo saver's kicking in, just turn it and then turn down your dual rate just a little bit. So here, I'll try to show you. So our max dual rate here, see that? See our servo saver's actually kicking in there. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll turn it to the max and then turn our dual rate down. Just let that servo saver drop. See that? Let the servo saver go back. See our wheels turn just a little bit. And that's kind of where you want your dual rate. All right. Still got to switch another screw here. Anyway, that's to help prevent, your servo from burning out. And then you can use dual rate on your throttle if you have a kiddo running it and you want to turn it down so they don't go as fast. Now that's my max speed, right? I can turn it down way slow, max speed, even in second gear, max speed, or turn up the dual rate. Okay? And then trims, obviously your trim is how you get your center on your steering. You can adjust that and then center on your throttle so that you're not just automatically going forward without touching the throttle, right? Or backwards. You want to center that. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole remote. Lights are going to be your channel 4. Let's plug our lights back in real quick. All right, we got our front and our rear lights plugged back in. Let's set this like this for now. So currently all lights are off. If you press your button, now you have headlights and turn signals. You also have your tail lights. Forward and reverse, nothing changes. If you go to forward brake reverse, you do have brake lights. Okay, but on forward reverse, there's no brake lights. Okay. Then if you hit the button again, you go to brights. Still have turn signals. Still have forward brake reverse lights or brake lights. If we hit it again, now we have our flashers on. Looks like the rears are not flashers, just the fronts. Okay. If we hit it again, now we just have turn signals only, nothing on the rear. And if, let's see, do we have brakes? We still have brake lights on the rear though, so that's cool. Now again, that doesn't work when we're in crawler mode. So if I put this back into crawler mode, we do not have brake or reverse lights. And then the last button is everything off again, okay? Except brake lights. You'll still have brake lights when in forward brake reverse mode. Cool. So good number of options here. There's also a ton of plugs. Well, I don't want to unplug it all again, but there's a ton of light plugs in here that you can go through and try to read the manual. You can kind of see there's labels on there and figure out what the plugs do and make light kits for these things. It'd be really cool to see some awesome aftermarket light kits from certain companies that will plug straight in, like light bars, things like that, rock lights. And I'm not sure how they interact with the button switches, if the button switches do anything for the other light ports. It may not, I'm not sure. I think Donald Sneff, look up that channel. He does a deep dive into the light boards on one of these trucks, not this new one, but on one of the older trucks. And I think it's the same light board essentially. And so he deep dives into that, and it's nuts the amount of stuff you can power with these boards. So pretty cool. Definitely check out his channel. He does a lot of awesome deep dives as well. Again, that's Donald Sneff. Yeah. All right. You can easily pull the bed off this truck if you wanted to do a flat bed or something. It's just 2 screws, it looks like here, and this will slide right off. Yeah, looks like that's the only thing holding it. So pretty cool there too that it's a separate bed and cab. Definitely dig that. All right, so we're gonna get this guy back together, and I think that's about it. I think that's all we really need to show. We'll go ahead and drive this guy, show you some running footage up at Red Rocks in Colorado. Yeah, let's go. We forgot to pull our sticker off. We have a little plastic cover on there. doing, Riker?
Just relaxing, enjoying the beauty.
Relaxing and enjoying the beauty?
Yep.
All right. Well, that's cool.
And in a minute, I'm gonna get moving again.
You're gonna get moving again in a minute. Can Daddy drive over you?
Yep.
Let's see if we can do it. Oh, maybe not.
Let me help you.
You're gonna help me? There we go. Thanks. We're too long of a truck. There you go.
Okay.
Are you leaving?
Oh, I'm late for work.
You're late for work. You better get out of here.
Sorry. Bye.
Are you okay, buddy? Is it windy? It's windy, windy, windy. It's gorgeous out here though. Oh, so beautiful. Tons of people out here crawling. Man, it was windy up there. We had to cut our filming short. That last little roll was 100% the wind pushing us over. It was pretty nuts, but it was a great time. Such a great place to crawl. And yeah, this little truck, a blast, right? I love the long wheelbase. I think people are going to do a lot of really cool stuff with this. Yeah, just excited to see what people do. Excited to see also what the next FCX18 is going to be, because if they're revisiting all these old bodies, there's some pretty cool ones. There's a Hilux, there's a the FJ, what else? There's a couple others, but it'd be pretty cool to see. I do wish they would come out with some new bodies that are true 18th scale, because this guy, like I said, is a little closer to 1/16th, but it looks great. It looks fantastic. It's a little large compared to the rest of the fleet. This is probably our biggest small scale. Hold on. I guess the 6x6 Apache and the Cheyenne or whatever, those two trucks are pretty big. They're definitely 1/16th. They're bigger than this guy is. But other than that, compared to the FCX 24s and the TRXs and the Hobby Pluses and all the other brands, this is probably the biggest on a performance-based platform like the FCX18 24, stuff like that. Anyway, it ran well though. It ran really well. I think just a little bit of weight down low and some better tires. Not that these tires are bad. They're actually not too bad at all, but get us some super sticky tires with some good inserts, some weight down low up front. It's already pretty forward weight bias. Actually, we can do a weight thing right now. Let's look real quick. Well, look at that. We're basically 54-46. Closer to 60-40 than I thought we would be. Definitely helps to have everything up front, but that's a good weight distribution for this truck for sure. So that's pretty awesome to see. Again, you get a good weight bias when you're having a 900 milliamp battery up in the front like that. But still, that's pretty freaking awesome. So just a little bit extra weight down low in the front. I mean, you might even be able to add some weight to the back. Just try to get to that optimal 60-40 and get it low. Some brass knuckles, maybe a brass diff cover, maybe in the back, just brass portals, maybe. Other than that, you probably don't need much though. Overall, I'm impressed. I dig it. FMS has been killing it lately. If you haven't checked out their new FCX10, I'm going to put a video right over there. You can check that out because that truck is insane if you're looking for a 10th scale. Yeah. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was a like-worthy video, so hit that like button if you learned something in this video. Also, if you're not a subscriber, please click that subscribe. Just a click for you. It means the world to me. And then share this video in your groups, your Reddits, wherever. And notification bell? Yeah, hit the notification bell. Like, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Yeah, do all those things you do at the end of the videos that you like. I just wanted to make sure I hit them all. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time. Get out there, build something awesome. Build a car, build a course, build a community, and then smash it, crash it, and bash it. But don't break the expensive parts. Peace.